his voice, and it'll play. You'll have a tendency to play it again and again in your head.
Yep.
So that's his mystic potency. That's very wonderful. All right, life's two biggest misconceptions and how to avoid them. So misconceptions, has anybody here ever had a misconception? Show of hands. It'd be easier to say, have you not? Yeah. Some people put up both hands because they do it a lot. I do it a lot. If I had 4 arms, I'd put them all up because misconceptions, mistakes. We do that. We make mistakes. It's very healthy, mentally healthy. It's good behavioral health to admit when you made a mistake. Those are Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar, all these guys that have talked us up and how to get out there and do it. They say those magic words. I admit, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Just say it. So, but we don't want to do it a lot, though, do we? We have a tendency to make mistakes, but we don't want to do it all the time. I think this thing has a ghost in it because sometimes it moves. Maybe I did it with the garland, though. I don't know. So, but it's kind of natural. It's normal to make a mistake, isn't it? We're going to do that from time to time. That's okay. But sometimes our misconceptions or our mistakes are so big that it can ruin our day or our week, maybe even our life. We make these drastic misconceptions. We go this way instead of going that way. It turns out to be not for our benefit. So sometimes we have these misconceptions or we make mistakes. We don't even know it. Has anybody here ever experienced that? You make a mistake, you're under a misconception, but you don't know it until one of those, oh, heck moments. Oh, heck. Then it comes to you. All of a sudden, no, I was wrong. So this is normal. This is natural. I'm not singling you out and saying you're bad. So, but when we misconceive, we got to reconceive, don't we? We can't go on with that same misconception. In other words, if we start out with the misconception that 2 + 2 = 5, then most of our arithmetic, all of our dealings with math are going to be wrong. All the formulas will be just plain silly, you see? So if and when that would happen, we have to go back and say, where did I make my mistake? So you find, this misconception, 2 + 2 is 4. No, it's 5. No, it's 4. So you reconceive. You misconceived. No, you reconceive. Just go in and fix it. So you follow me so far? You see where I'm going with this? I'm going to tell you how to avoid the 2 biggest misconceptions, okay? So we're going to go to the wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, verses 2 and 3. Stop me at any time with questions or comments. So, Sukadeva Goswami says, the illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives, thinking in terms of I and mine. This is I, and this is mine. You ever notice? I remember all of my children, I had 4, and all of them at some point, they start to claim things. Mine. Didn't have to be theirs, it's mine, So we all get into that, where I want to claim something as mine. Well, it's not. What can you own? What did you bring into this world when you came? The same thing you get to take when you leave. It's not yours. It belongs to somebody else. It belongs to that source of all sources who put everything here to begin with. It's not ours. Even this body, which is made of the material elements, which are earth, water, fire, air, and ether, is not yours. But some people say, it's my body. Prove it. It's not. Where did you get it? You were placed in it, and it grew. No, it's not your body. It belongs to the source of all sources, that Supreme Lord that we refer to as Krishna, because that's a warm and fuzzy, loving name when we call God Krishna. Some people say, well, I don't want to call him Krishna. All right. But it describes him, most beautiful, giver of pleasure. It's a warm and fuzzy, loving name. So he's the source of everything. So he's the source. Everything that came into this world, everything that exists, emanated from him. Everything is his energy. This is his energy. It's his inferior energy. Then he has a superior energy, and then he has a marginal energy. That's where we fit in. We're the marginal. We are the same as the superior energy, except when we come in contact with the material energy, we become bewildered. We start to misconceive. We're a part and parcel of the perfect Supreme Godhead. It's impossible for you to make a misconception as a part and parcel of the Supreme Godhead, unless you get affected by the material energy. And there is a couple of things that you have to do for the material energy to take you over and to drive you and to control you. First thing is you have to believe that this world is your home and you belong here. And you have to believe that this body that you're encaged in is you. You identify you, the self, with your body. It's a terrible mistake. That is a misconception. Because if I am this body, then this is I. This is the me, and this belongs to the body. Your name on your birth certificate doesn't really describe you, the eternal soul. You've had billions and trillions of births in this material world. How many names have you had? We don't know. A number so big that there's not a name for it, you see. But your bodies have all had names. The last body you had could have been something in total. Maybe it was an animal and you didn't even have a name. Of course, some animals have names, I guess. But so, what's Krishna? What is Sukadeva Goswami saying? The illusion living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. Why? An inquisitive mind's going to right away say, well, why? I come into this material world from the spiritual world, and this material world gives me a menu. You know, like going to a restaurant, and they give you a menu. Let me see, I can be a puppy dog. I can be a bird. I can be a fish. Oh, human being. I get my choice of these things to do based on your desires. What is it that you desire? If you desire to fly, perhaps a bird would be a good body for you. It's kind of a crude example, but if you're driven by the desire for sex life, then there are bodies that will accommodate that desire, other than human bodies. Human bodies, sex life is complicated for human beings. It's not complicated at all for dogs. You know, they don't get arrested if they're naughty in public, do they? You know, people like, what can be done? Human beings, though, are held to a higher standard. Why? Because you have a body that has access to more intelligence. You're expected to be more civilized. You're expected to be human and behave like it. Pigeons can have sex life every 15 minutes, all day, every day. They don't have to get a room. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to get married. There's no palimony suits or anything. They're not held to the same standard as you. They're living entities, they're spirit souls just like you, but they're not held to that standard. You are. I think somewhere in the Bible, I can't remember where, maybe some of you might remember, and somewhere in the Bible it says, for those who have more is expected. You have more intelligence, then intelligent actions and intelligent reasons and intelligent conceptions are expected. If you're a certain age, you're expected to act your age. At least that's what my mother always told me. I don't know if I ever did. So you see, this is the living entities. They see this material world and immediately they start to desire something, whatever it is. There are 8,400,000 different species for you to go to act out your desires, depending on what they are. If you're fortunate to get the body of a human being, but we maintain animal consciousness, then what are the chances that we're going to get a human body next time? You say, what are the chances? You're not behaving like a human being, but you say, well, I want to have a human being's body, but I don't want to have that responsibility. It's not going to work out that way for you. Whatever your desire is, you'll be given a body so that you can enjoy on the level of that body. Maybe you desire to eat flesh. Well, then you can take the body of a tiger and eat it all day long, and nobody's gonna, you don't get any karma. If the tiger eats you, he doesn't get arrested. There's no karma. Nobody's gonna come if the tiger eats you and draw a chalk circle around what's left of your body, and the team comes in. What do they call those guys? Forensics come in. Well, it appears this animal ate this person. They're going to figure that out, but it's not. They're not going to put him in jail, and see, he doesn't get any bad karma. You're just tiger food. So, you see where we're going? So you're in the human body. You have an opportunity to inquire, gee whiz, is there life after death? Is there a God? You have that ability to inquire these things. And you have the right to speculate any answer you want. Well, you can make up whatever seems to fit. Yes, there is a God, but he's this or that. You can put your limitations on this God that you've speculated and you've invented in your mind. Or you can find a description of God in the scriptures. So many scriptures in the world that give some indication of God. The Vedas give a lot more detailed information of this guy, God. A lot more. But yet it's there. In practically every scripture, there's something about this supreme personality of Godhead. You see, so you can find out because you have human brain. Your dog is probably not going to be that interested. Let me see. My master says, is there life after death? I wonder about that too, No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't have the brain capacity to do that, but you do. So, and you also have free will, so you can say, okay, I'm a human being. I can inquire about God and my relationship with him, but I choose not to. And you have some information you want to give me about God from your scriptures. I choose to reject them and invent my own. You have that freedom, if that's your choice, if that's what you want to do. So the different forms, this is Srila Prabhupada, my guru, writes in the purport, the different forms of the living entities are different dresses offered by the illusory external energy of the Lord according to the modes of nature and the living being's desires to enjoy. It's not a punishment. A lot of people look at God as the guy who hands out punishment because you don't know enough about him. You don't have enough information. No, that's not what he does. You have a desire, and he allows his material energy to reward you, to fulfill your desire. I want a life full of free sex. Okay, well, let me see. Then you need this body. It's not a punishment. Now you may say, but I don't want to be a dog. Well, but then we don't need to think and act like one. We need to think and act like a human being. So we've made these misconceptions already. We already are believing that we are this body. I and mine are present in my life. Although I don't know anything about this I, except I can show you my birth certificate, where I appeared in this world. I know where I was born. I know who my mother was. I remember this and that. And I've seen this body, although it looks really different now, 77 years later, I've seen this body change. And I can remember the different stages that I went into. Sometimes I meet old friends. We were just at the Sadhu Sangha in Florida, a gathering of so many. There were almost 4,000 devotees there from all over the world. And you meet old friends you haven't seen sometimes in decades. And amazed. Yeah, I'm sure you've had this experience, Suresh. You see someone you haven't seen for a long time, and you can tell it's them, but man, do they look different. Whoa. And you look at a picture of them from way back then and you think, man, I can tell you're the same, but you're so different. You see? No, they're the same. Their body has changed. It's just drying out and getting ready to shrivel up even more. You see? Thank God we're not these bodies, huh? We should thank God every day that I am not this body. I am an eternal part and parcel of you, my dear Lord. So, before I talk too much, I better give you the solution on how to avoid life's two biggest misconceptions. Here's the how to avoid it. This is text 3. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested in the pure self. Pure self. You are a pure self. You're a pure soul. You cannot become contaminated. You are 100% pure. But your consciousness has been bewildered. The way you think has been bewildered by the material energy because of your desires that you're having separate from your dearmost friend, Krishna. You're having desires that are separate. So then you're allowed to have those desires that are separate. So we fix the problem by starting to have desires that are the same as God's. I mean, he probably has some really good desires. Many of us are afraid that he's going to start ordering us around and try to tell us to do something like maybe we don't want to do. Who wants to get close to with an all-powerful entity that's all omniscient, that knows everything, and can give you an order to do something that you don't want to do. That's not very attractive, right? So we want to keep him at arm's length, Maybe we don't want him to have a personality. Maybe it was, okay, God's the universe. Whew, I dodged that bullet. No, the universe, I can put it out to the universe like that, but the universe doesn't have a personality. I don't have to negotiate or deal with it, right? Well, step into knowledge of the Supreme. The supreme source of all sources is the source of love. That's all he cares about, is love. Loving exchange with you and all the other living entities. And he can do that with all of us at the same time, because he's the Supreme. He's God. He can do that. And have a direct, loving relationship with the Supreme Personality. Direct. Best friends. What do they call it? BFF? Best friend forever. So God is your BFF. So what does this mean when Sukadev says, when you are situated in your constitutional glory? What is your constitutional glory? Well, you're a part and parcel of the Supreme. That is pretty glorious. If God is glorious and you're part of this entity, you are also glorious. It's not like he's something that you're not. You're everything that he is, because you are the same DNA. You're the same thing, except there's a lot more of him than there is you. You have all of his qualities that he has, including beauty, mercy. I mean, we can go on. He's complete in all qualities. He just has more than you, but you have it all. So once we start to identify with ourselves as that part and a parcel of the Supreme, I can let go of this I and mine. Why, this is his. Everything is his. But he's letting me use whatever I want to serve him or to serve myself. I can use whatever is here, including this human brain, to exchange love with him or not. I can use my desires to desire to serve him, or I can choose to serve myself. And I've been choosing to serve myself for billions and trillions of bodies. So many births. And you know what? That's not working out. Because sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's not. It doesn't work out, because I make this misconception that I want to lay a false proprietorship, a false ownership on this or that or whatever. Even if I give you some money for it, it didn't belong to you. I didn't really buy it. But I can have anything I want if I want to use it in Krishna's service. I can have anything I want if I want to use it in my service too. But if I use it in my service, it's mine. And I'm still under the illusion. If I use it in his service, I'm using his energy to give him pleasure, which gives me tremendous pleasure. So, reestablish yourself in your constitutional glory. Constitutional. This belongs to you. The understanding that you are part and parcel of the Supreme belongs to you. This is your identity. It's an eternal identity you've always had and you always will have. But it's covered over by the misconception that I am this body. You see, we have to let that go. Use this body in the service of the Lord. You have a desire to enjoy. Well, why not enjoy beyond? Why not enjoy the transcendence beyond this material world? Well, we hear that word a lot. Transcendental, transcendence. What does it mean? That transcends the material world. It's not material. We want transcendental love. We don't want material love. Love is eternal. Things that are transcendental are eternal. You get this supreme love, but you get to keep it forever. We can have that relationship with God, and we can have that relationship with one another. But we got to get off this bodily consciousness. If I'm on the bodily consciousness, I want to compete with you to get as many or to get control of as many of God's resources as I can use for me to enjoy. That is material consciousness. And all it's going to do is give you birth after birth, which for as long as you want to enjoy that particular consciousness of being a body. Back your eternal identity that belongs to you. It's there waiting for you. But you have to surrender. Try to serve myself, but yet I've always been served by you. Krishna gives us anything. He'll give you any body that you want. Body of his servant, he will award you that. Your original identity will be returned to you. The clouds will clear up and you'll start to understand who you are. What is your purpose? Just having a purpose and knowing what it is in life and working towards fulfilling your purpose, according to what I read from the medical people, that will add years onto your life. It makes you live longer. You're living a life to please the Supreme Lord and all of his living entities and happier. That's what we all want. So I've got time for maybe one quick question. Anybody have a question? Kirtaneshwar.
Thank you, Maharaj. My question is, it's sometimes easy to understand we're not this body, but it's much harder to not identify with the mind's demands. The mind is always, sometimes the mind wants something. When it decides you want something, and it can be screaming at you, the mind is screaming. How do we disassociate ourselves from this mind?
Well, first of all, we have to come to that understanding that I'm not my body. The mind is the sixth sense. Our senses are the portals through which we are aware of anything. You know, if we didn't have the five senses, we would be completely unaware of anything. We perceive on a material basis through our senses. I only know that what I can see, smell, taste, hear, and touch, I only know they exist through these senses. You see? But there's things other than things that I can perceive through my senses. The transcendental things, like transcendental love. It cannot be experienced through the senses. Now, what about transcendental food? We're all going to have some transcendental food here pretty soon. If I ever stop talking, we're going to have transcendental food. We're going to perceive that through material senses or senses that have become spiritualized because we offer the food to God before we eat it. You're going to eat sanctified food. How is it sanctified? Because God was the first to taste it. We cook it and we serve it to him. Then we distribute it. So now we're using transcendental taste to taste transcendental food. Whether you know it or not, your senses become transcendentalized. So we have to think like that in everything that I do. And we have to tell ourselves again and again, I am not this body. Better than that, tell yourself again and again, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. You can even say that to people. If you're threatened by someone, say in confidence, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. I'm part of God. Remind yourself of it. Ask him, my dear Lord, oh Krishna, please don't let me forget that we are united always. We're always united. Please don't let me forget that. That is my request. All right, so I think I've gone over a couple of minutes. Don't tell the boss when she gets back, you know. She's probably on a call. All right,
I'll call it.
I know, I figured you would. All right, thank you all so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.